Alright guys, so this is kind of a crash course on how to tune the Polini CP carb on the Honda Navi. If you've been following the channel, Facebook, if you're in Quasi-Motar's Discord where I've discussed this with a few people, I have gone through so many states of tune with this carb, it's ridiculous. I have tried every pilot except for the 40 and every main jet up to the 96. I've tried every combination of air filter, well, the S23 filter, but using the different elbows, and I've played with this quite a bit. So it is a little bit of a struggle to get this to tune properly, but once you get it, you get a baseline established, and if you get a baseline established, take note of everything you did. That's very important. That's what's allowed me to swap jets and try different states of tune with different octanes, with and without the baffle / spark arrestor in the exhaust, with different pod filters. I've tried quite a few things to see what worked the best. So I'm going to give you a quick crash course on how to tune this carb without taking it off the bike, because honestly it's very, very simple, and there's better videos on how to do this. So follow the bouncing screwdriver. This is the bowl located at the bottom of the carb. Inside of here, to take this off, is 4 screws, 1 in each corner. There is a gasket between the bowl and the main body of the carburetor. It is important to keep that gasket dry and to keep from letting it roll over itself or getting stretched out if you want to reuse it, because you could reuse this gasket many, many, many times. You don't need to buy it every time you open this bowl. That'd be ridiculous. So inside here, you're going to see the pilot and the main jet. So to show you what those are, inside the kit from Scooter Swap, you'll see these are your main jets, and these are your pilots. So to remove those, it's very simple, and I'll show you on a jet kind of what it does. Here are the main jets. They come with the kit. You're going to take a socket, slide it over here, loosen this up. Now in the Polini, this is tied into another threaded portion, so just make sure you don't take all of it out at once, but just run this out, run in the jet you want to try. Do not over tighten these. Somebody laying on the brakes. Don't over tighten these. Seriously, they really don't need to be tight at all, just snug. Same with your pilots. So your pilot jets look like so. These are pilots. You're going to take these out with a small common head screwdriver, also called a flat. Alright, so what do those jets do? So your pilot controls your idle up to 1/4 throttle. Your main jet is your 3/4 to full throttle jet. So what handles the in-between? Well, that's your needle. So the needle, you actually would have seen it when you installed the throttle control. It runs through in here, and it's got a pin on it. It's called a crescent pin. Some people mistakenly call it a cotter pin, but it's just a retention pin, shaped like a crescent moon. And there's notches, graduated notches, up the needle itself. So going up in those notches makes it leaner, going down makes it richer. It's very simple. Now, like I mentioned, this is kind of a bear to tune. It's a carb that likes to run very rich. The Navi doesn't seem to mind running rich, but obviously running super rich is going to do 2 things. One, it's going to, or 3 things. One, it's going to foul your plug and build a lot of carbon in your engine. 2, it's going to cost you at the pump. And 3, you're not gaining any power that way. So The goal when installing an aftermarket carburetor, or just tuning any carburetor, is to achieve the leanest state possible while being safe. So how you determine that is you have to monitor the temperatures of the engine itself. So you don't want to run too hot. You don't want to hear the engine gasping, or you really don't want to hear a bunch of, they're not, well, so I'm going to say backfires, but they're not backfires in the fun, exciting way. They're backfires, they sound like a tinny little pop. You don't want to hear that. So that means you're running too lean. Lean will damage your engine rapidly. It's not a good thing. So don't confuse that when I say you want to get as lean as possible. You want to be as lean as possible while maintaining temperatures and making sure the engine is fueled properly at all times. So that's going to take some doing. I can't give you a magic number for that. Nobody's going to be able to. It all depends on where you live, and by that, that's going to be your average annual temperature, your humidity, and your altitude. Your altitude relative to sea level, basically. Where I am is in South Carolina. It's typically very high humidity. We're looking at 70% or higher. Temperatures have wild swings throughout the year, but not unusual for us to get in the mid 80s to mid 90s throughout the summer. So it's typically a lot warmer. And our elevation, we are just under 200 feet above sea level. So pretty flat. And so my tune's going to be different than yours, unless you live in a very similar area. So when tuning the Polini Carb, here are my suggestions. And if, like I said, if you've been following along, I've been all over the place with this. But this is my quintessential answer for this. With your main jet, it is probably best to start out with an 88. It comes with a 100 in the carb. That is far too large. I worked my way down from a 98 and tried to get a tune from there, and it was a nightmare. So start with 88, and if you're a little more cautious, start with a 90. Work your way down. All right, but the main jet's the second part of the equation. The first part of the equation is getting the proper pilot jet. Well, rather, the main's pretty much the third part. The pilot jet, I want you to start off with a 36 and work your way down. You're not going to need a 38 or a 40. I'm running a hot lap pipe, a fully modified CVT with this carb. That's about as far as the Navi goes with tune anyway. You don't need anything over, like I said, a 36. So it's more than likely going to be very rich there, but that's fine. When tuning this, you need to be a little rich rather than lean. Okay, so your needle, go ahead when you're assembling the carburetor. My suggestion is to step it up at least one notch leaner, just to give yourself a little less headache. So this is the general terms. This is there's a good chance this isn't going to be the right start for you, but this is a safe level start for pretty much anybody. Okay, so what you're going to do, get everything set up, try starting the bike. It's going to be a bear to get it started the first time, and you may look out and it may just fire right up. Congratulations. If you get it running, leave it running. Don't shut it off. Okay, so back to the pointer. This is your air fuel screw. So, little tidbit for you, if it's on the filter side, this brings in more air. Now if it was on the engine side here, that would bring in more fuel. That makes sense? That means turning it out means more air. Turning it out on this side would mean more fuel. So your factory carb set up on this side that adjusts the incoming fuel. This adjusts the air level. So this is your air fuel screw. This is your idle screw. So the Navi likes to idle between 1600 and 1800 RPM. And trust and believe, if you look at different, I've actually seen 2 service manuals that said two separate idles you could figure. Mine's really happy at 1700. That's just where it likes to be. So once you get this running, you're going to work on your idle screw. You're going to find that 1600 to 1800 idle with your idle screw. Now there's a chance that it's going to shut off as you adjust this. So with these adjustments, keep track of everything you do. So if you look, they're both slotted screws. Get you in there a little closer. They're both slotted screws. This is how you're going to measure your turns. So if you have a hard time keeping track of your turns, my suggestion is take a little fingernail polish or Sharpie, make a little dot on one side. So if you turn this over one revolution like that, right, just one turn, that's a half turn. So you'd have to turn it over one more time so the dot or your starting location is in the same position. Make sense? Ideally, this should be no more than 3 to 3.5 turns out from dead stop. Okay? So, and I'm not going to go into full depth of tuning the carburetor. You're going to have to look for other videos for that. I'm just kind of giving you the basics. The idea, ideally, you would run the air fuel screw all the way in with the bike off, crank it out 1.5 to 2 turns, start the bike, see where you're at. Now with this carburetor, you're probably going to be over that 3 to 3.5 turns. Mine's at about 4 3/4 turns out. Now, and what that would normally tell you is to step down 1 in the jet, your pilot jet. However, I don't have an odd size jet, so I'm just running it out because the next step down in jet was just too much. So like I said, small adjustments here make a big difference. Keep track of your air fuel, keep track of your idle. You're going to work these two together until you get the bike to run at a stable idle, and you're going to see where your tune's at. So you're going to see if you're running rich or lean. So there's a couple ways to check that. There's using the proper tools to do so, and then there's tuning by ear, which takes practice. I can do that on a car. I'm not that great on a small bike, but I was good enough to get it close. There's checking your spark plug. So obviously if it's black, you're rich. If it's white, you're lean. White doesn't mean clean. White means there's actually a white buildup on the electrode. You can also tell by your exhaust. You can smell if it's rich. That should be apparent to just about anybody. If it smells like you're dumping gas out of your tailpipe, you're running rich. So when you make these adjustments, I want you to go 1/4 at a time, no more than that. When you make the adjustment, wait, let it run. Give it a few minutes between each adjustment. It needs that much time to catch up and to what you've done to it. So just work your way slowly down. So you'll know you need a different pilot if you've got this cranked all the way out to get it to run. Okay? You'll know you need another main is when you get on the gas and it just hits a flat spot or cuts out. You'll know you need to adjust the needle if between 1/4 and 3/4 throttle it cuts out, or it sputters, or just falls flat on its face. Make sense? Alright, so remember, idle to 1/4, your needle is your 1/4 to 3/4, your main is your 3/4 to full throttle. Alright, so where is my tune at currently? This is turning into a long video with a bunch of talking, looking at a carburetor. Sorry guys. So here are my suggestions. Or, well, I've told you my suggestions. One other suggestion is, with the intake, run the short guy. This thing starves for air, at least for me. Shorter the intake, the better. It does make a difference, believe it or not. Right now, I am running a 84 main jet, a 32 pilot jet. The needle is as lean as possibly can be, and I'm running the shortest possible intake. Now I have something that a lot of you guys aren't going to have, and that's because Scooter Swap Shop was kind enough to send me air brakes or air jets. So this is located in the end of the carburetor and the intake side. If you look at the bottom, there's a recess there. There's actually a small jet in there. Factory, the Polini carburetor comes with a blocked off air jet. So if you look in this package here, you see that's the factory one. There's no hole in it. Scooter Swap sent me a 30 and a 60, or a 0.3 and a 0.6 to try. I'm still running the 0.3. That seemed to fix some of the kind of hiccups with the tuning. It actually would have been great if I had it when I was tuning this thing in. It also allowed me to get better throttle response out of it. With small 4-stroke engines, when you goose down on that throttle real hard, I'm going to tighten it down, don't worry guys, it'll cut out. That's kind of normal. They don't like it. And I know with the factory carburetor, it wasn't so bad about it, but again, we're not playing with factory parts, guys. So the air brake has made a difference. It's made tuning a little bit easier. It's gotten rid of a few of the hiccups. It doesn't mind having quick stabs at the throttle as much with the solid air brake, and it seems to run a lot smoother. So I'm going to report my findings back to Scooter Swap Shop, so hopefully they'll start offering these possibly with the kit, or as a add-on, or just as another product. You can find these, sorry for the pause there, you can find these on your own. In fact, I will let you see. There is a model number for the 60, and there's a model number for the 30. All right. Just in case you want to try to find them on your own. I think they had to order them direct for me, so I'm sure somebody can find them, but they'll make it easy. They'll put it on their site. So I hope this video was informative. I hope it helps you guys out. Like I said, go back to the beginning of the video, rewatch it if you need to, but stick with those recommendations on those jets and work your way down. Just take your time. It's a little bit of a hassle to get this tuned. It's a very big carb for a very small bike, but that's also a good thing, because that's going to open us up to big bore kits, hot cams, and stuff like that. You're going to be ready with a bigger carburetor. So if you like this video, please give it a like, comment below. It absolutely helps with the algorithms, and please subscribe. Thanks.